Joining us now, NBC News national political correspondent Jacob Soboroff, who grew up with me right there in the Palisades, and former chief pilot and reporter for KCAL Television News, Larry Welk, also somebody who grew up with me in these areas. I'm having such a hard time following the story because it is so personal, because it's my elementary school. It's, I think, my childhood homes. It's the grocery stores. It's the post office. It's the car wash, silly things like the car wash. You look at the images, and I keep getting videos from friends, and you can't figure out what you're looking at because it's unrecognizable now, Jacob. So many of the people that we love and we grew up with have lost everything. The homes that they have now, the homes that their parents have now. Every minute I get a text message, it's worse and worse and worse. Tell me what you're seeing there on the ground.
Katie, it's a couple of things. First, I just want to tell you where I am right now. I'm down at the intersection of Entrada, where Entrada and West Channel meet Pacific Coast Highway. And let me just swing around. For anybody who's been to Los Angeles, you might have seen before the legendary Patrick's Roadhouse, a haunt for many bold-faced names here in Los Angeles. This is the stretch of Pacific Coast Highway where over here, Katie, it's a great way for you to understand that this is a mutual aid environment. This is a impromptu gas station. And so all the different agencies, come and look at this, all the different agencies through all of Southern California are coming here to fuel up their fire trucks as they go back out into service. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Manhattan Beach. Manhattan Beach. Have you been in and around here in the Palisades area? Can I just ask you real quick, have you ever seen anything like this before?
I've seen it one more time. I've seen it before at the Woolsey.
How are you feeling? You doing okay?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. We've been up for over 24 hours.
You gonna get any rest anytime soon?
Not until hopefully tomorrow.
Well, God bless you. Thank you for what's your name? James Jacob. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Katie, Manhattan Beach is here. LA City is here. People from all over the Southern California region. And what I want to say to you is you can still feel the wind is whipping. And you and I think the viewers of your program know that we have been friends for a very long time. And you and I would drive around in my old Prius through the streets of Pacific Palisades together when we were, 16, 17 years old. You don't recognize what's going on there anymore. It doesn't look like the Pacific Palisades that you and I know. And I can't wait for you to come out here and honestly, to give you a big hug and for you to give a big hug to a lot of people who love you very much. And who I know you love. It's a really hard time for this place because when we talk about the big one, we think about an earthquake. We never think about a fire like this, but really that's what this has become. Yeah,
it is the same magnitude of scale. It reminds me of Northridge. Jacob, you're right, I'm going to be out there tomorrow, leaving tonight. I also want to underscore something that I think is getting lost here. We talk a lot about the Palisades being full of celebrities and full of, rich people. It's a very Tony neighborhood. It has gotten Tony over time, very Tony, in fact. But there are still a lot of regular folks there, middle-class families, people who have spent their entire lives there.
Oh, no doubt.
Parents there as well. And there's a lot of people who won't have anything to go back to. And there's also questions of insurance. What will insurance cover, what it won't? Talk to me about that.
It's a community of 23,000 people, and yes, there are definitely some bold-faced names, as I said, in Pacific Palisades, but there's a lot of people who have lived in the Palisades for generations and generations, who have made this their home, who bought in as working-class Angelenos and raised families, multiple generations of families in Pacific Palisades. What does happen with fire insurance? This is not a travesty that a municipal government can afford and pay for out of the general fund or some kind of contingency budget. Not even California. I briefly saw California Governor Gavin Newsom today as he was on the side of the road, actually speaking with officials in the White House, he told me. And that's sort of going to be the name of the game here going forward. Who is going to be able to help kickstart this recovery? Will it be the Biden White House? What will the incoming Trump administration do about all this? This community needs all the help that it can possibly get, and get that help started as soon as possible, because there are people, thousands of people, thousands of people without a place to go and sleep tonight. People need to understand the Pacific Palisades is a neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. This is a city that is a patchwork of neighborhoods, and this is one of the big ones. And so we're not talking about a wildfire in a remote area. We're talking about a wildfire that has displaced tens of thousands of people in the heart of the city of Los Angeles. And there is a lot of work to do to get this process started about recovering, even as the flames are still burning and the wind is still blowing as I speak to you this afternoon.
Yeah, it's part of why it's been such a struggle, because it's a wildfire in a city using city water supplies, and they've continually run out of water trying to fight these fires. Just the water that they're able to access from the fire hydrants in these neighborhoods has not been enough. And that's why part of the reason why it's 0% contained. The other big reason is because the winds are so powerful, 100-mile-an-hour winds overnight. There have been gusts continuing since that point. Larry, you would have been in the air right now. I know there's a ground stop because President Biden is leaving, but you would have been in the air all night last night had you been able to. Why could you not get up?
Well, in addition to the presidential temporary flight restriction, the winds were just simply too strong last night, not just for the news helicopters, but also the firefighting effort as well. At one point, we looked at the radar and we could see that there were no firefighting aircraft, not even a fixed wing up in the air at all. It was so strong. And you have to remember the topography of Los Angeles. You've got the fire in Eaton Canyon, that's right up against Mount Wilson, where you've got a north wind, and it blows a rotor effect where you simply can't control the aircraft. So in addition to the flight restriction, now I will say President Biden is still in Los Angeles, and we've been able to get permission. So we've just launched 2 of our news helicopters, and that's really in an effort to get people in touch with, a lot of people who have been evacuated have no idea whether their homes are there or not. So for us to be able to go and fly over some of these neighborhoods, use the overlay mapping that we have on our camera systems so that you can see street by street whether your home is there or not. And this really affects so many people. I mean, more than 80,000 people have been evacuated, and they just don't know what the fate of their home is. And so it's important to get up there and show not only where the fire is going, but where the fire has been. My wife and I left last night to go pick up a prescription, and about 20 miles away, we saw the Eaton fire start. I drove up to a heliport that was supposed to be giving water to helicopters, and there were no helicopters. The firemen were there. They were attached to a fire hydrant. They were ready to start dropping water, but the wind was just too fierce. The helicopters couldn't get up there. And in the 20 or 30 minutes that I spent watching this fire start, it blew up into what is now just an enormous firestorm. And, you mentioned it earlier, I've been doing this for 30 years. And even the Woolsey fire, which lost 1,700 homes, I've never seen anything like this. Neighborhood after neighborhood, homes are destroyed. It is an absolute tragedy for any place on earth, but in particular, Los Angeles. These people, it's a terrible situation here right now.
This is a live shot right now of the Palisades. I want to show you a little bit of video that one of my friends sent in to me. And for anybody who knows the area, for all my Palisades friends out there who are watching and waiting for news, I'm going to show you something that's going to be hard to see. We'll play it right now. It's going to start on Swarthmore, which is the main drag in the Palisades. On your right, when this video starts, there used to be a pretty big Starbucks there. One of the first Starbucks, I think, in the country. It was a big deal in the 90s when it started. When it opened up, it'll pan right here. That was the Starbucks. On the back end, there were shops. There was a Chinese restaurant right there. There was a diner on the left-hand side. There was a really lovely boutique called Elise Walker. Started small, grew much bigger. It's going to go up the road. The Chamber of Commerce used to be on the right. There was a barber shop right here as well. It's going to make a right onto a street called, this is Antioch. It's going to make a right here on a street called Via de la Paz. And at the end of this street is the elementary school that I went to. And across the street was the Methodist church that I sang choir in and did the bells. For me, it's memories. But for so many thousands of people, this is every day. This is their reality still. It's where they live. It's now gone, completely gone. Larry, if the LAFD was able to operate last night, would it have been this bad?
It's very tough to say. The wind was so bad last night that even if the helicopters would have been in the air, it's extremely tough to get the water to the ground. Once it leaves the helicopter, when the wind is blowing that bad, it's just tough because it evaporates, it gets blown away, and sometimes it just doesn't hit the ground. So very tough to say.